Vernomatic Productions.
Are you ready?
Live from the Metal Mayhem Studios in Rochester, New York.
We are gold. We are gold.
And heard around the world by metalheads just like you. This is Metal Mayhem ROC.
Heavy metal music.
Your weekly dose of metal music, interviews, album reviews, news, and more. Want to be part of the show? Send us a message through our website, metalmayhemroc.com, or hit us up on Facebook and Twitter. Search Metal Mayhem ROC, a proud member of the Pantheon podcast team.
It's getting nice and heavy.
And now, welcome tonight's host, John the Vernomatic Verno.
Good evening, everybody. Hope everyone's staying safe, doing well, enjoying the springtime. Tonight, I'm bringing you a double dip. We got two killer interviews, an old school thrash guy and a new school thrash band. We have Katon De Pena from Hirax, the thrash legends, crossover bands from the 80s. They're celebrating their 40-year anniversary with a hard-hitting new album called Faster Than Death. Well, Katon's here to talk about the band's evolution and what it's like still fucking kicking ass after all these years. They just did a successful little tour with EXODUS, and now they're gearing up for a tour of their own. It's really a cool interview. We've had them on the show before, and it's an honor to have them back. So that's first, and then we dive into a new thrash band, Misfire, band from Chicago. Their new album's coming out tomorrow. The second album called Product of the Environment. These guys are kick-ass. They're on that EXODUS and HAVOK tour that just started at the end of April. Well, James Nicodemus, the mastermind behind this band, he's here. He's joined by new vocalist Tim Jensen and guitarist Costa. They join us. We talk about the new album. They talk about what it's like being an up-and-coming thrash band, how they got the EXODUS support slot, and they talk about the new album. Again, Product of the Environment. I had a chance to get an advance of it, and it's fucking kick-ass. It's like 35, 40 minutes, right in your face. Great fucking thrash. So this is a nice little thrash bash that we put together. But before we dive into the pit, as you would say, just got to remind you to get up to metalmayhemroc.com, sign up for the newsletter. This way you'll get notified about new podcast episodes, YouTube interviews that I'm doing. The Monday Night Live radio show that I produce and host on Metal Devastation Radio. And also get up to the merch page. Tons of hoodies, hats. It's t-shirt weather again, gang. So there's some kick-ass gear up there. And if you like what we're doing, subscribe to the pod. Wherever you're listening, leave us a review. That way it helps new listeners find the show. And you know what? The more engagement we could get, the better off all of us are. So, like I said, let's get into the pit. Katon from Hirax, Misfire from Chicago, and a whole lot of new current kick-ass thrash metal. I'm the Vernomatic, and this is Metal Mayhem ROC. Well, today we welcome a true thrash legend back to the show, Katon De Pena from Hirax. About 40 years ago, the debut Raging Violence came out, but it's 2025 and the brand new one, Faster Than Death, this year. Hey, Katon, welcome back to the show. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. A little beat up from band rehearsal last night, but I'm good. Just excited, the new record's out, and it's our 40th anniversary of the band's existence. So real happy and excited and looking forward to the new year. I mean, it's gotten off to a hell of a start, with this record, and now it's time for us to go out on the road. So yeah, excited.
Well, we got tons of notes on the new one. You've been on the show before, so we're really not going to do a recap on the whole Hirax history, but I do have one question. The created by Tom G. Warrior?
Yeah, it's a pretty awesome story. I mean, I've known Tom since Hellhammer, and we used to be pen pals back when that was a thing. Now everybody's on the internet, so they don't know what the hell pen paling is. But it's, getting out a piece of paper, writing a letter, putting it in an envelope, and mailing it for like 2 weeks to get to Switzerland, and he would do the same. So me and Tom have been friends for quite some time, and even back then, we were some of the first tape traders when we were tape trading with Hirax cassettes and Hellhammer cassettes. So anyways, I sent him the demo when it first came out, the 4-track demo, and he liked it a lot, but he didn't like the logo.
Okay.
And I didn't realize he was an artist at the time. He still is an artist. He's a really good artist. And so he goes, listen, I'd like to design a logo for you if that's okay. And I was like, sure, give it a shot. I didn't know what he was going to do, but he drew up the logo and sent it to me. And the interesting thing is when he sent it to me, he also sent me his new band, which was called Celtic Frost at the time.
Yep.
He sent me that logo as well. And he did both logos at the same time. So if you look at the Celtic Frost logo and you look at the Hirax logo, there are some similarities in there. But yeah, he designed it, and we've been using it ever since he did back in 1984.
Now, 1985, metal has its roots in imagery. Back then, the album cover was just as important what was on the platter. How do you feel?
Yeah.
How do you feel that Hirax logo helped the band back in the day? Helped you stand out?
The logo is important because that's what recognizes you no matter what. Like, even once you go out and start playing live, usually you have the logo behind you as a band. So Tom did us a really big favor by making that. I didn't know that we'd still be using it 40 years later, but we still do, and it's a big part of our live show. And it's like the mascot, like how Iron Maiden has their mascot.
Yep.
A lot of bands have mascots, but our logo's our mascot, and it's readable. I'm not putting down a lot of other logos, because what happens even with the death metal logos, if you see them enough times, or even like a band like Cannibal Corpse, if you see that logo enough times, then you can identify the band. So we didn't know what branding was back in the day because we didn't have that word around, but I guess that's what they would call branding nowadays.
Sure. And we call those bands, no disrespect to their music, squiggly line bands. You're right. And if you really look at it, Cannibal Corpse's logo is a little more mainstream in the squiggly line band arena. So
yeah, nowadays but I remember when I first saw that logo, I thought, where's logos going? But they've gone further than that now. Like, now you have to see a logo 1,000 times to remember it. But I do like about the old days, especially the 80s, a lot of the logos were pretty damn memorable,
Well, they're brands. Like you said, you didn't know you were creating a brand back then. And, some of the most simplest logos, it's branding. Like, look at Twitter, or not Twitter anymore, but, McDonald's, the arches, all that. So, well, good stuff. Hey, well, before we get away from that subject, who else did you pen pal with? Was there anyone?
Oh, that's a good one. Well, yeah, back then it was awesome because it was brand new. It was like, seriously, the wild frontier. So this is going to blow you away, but Quorthon from Bathory.
Okay.
He was one of the pen pals. Millie, they weren't even called Creator yet. I think they were called like Terrorizer. It wasn't Terrorizer. I always forget exactly what it was, but it was something with a T. But anyways, before they were called Creator, I used to pen pal with Millie. Tankard, I remember their first demo coming out. Destruction, I wrote to them. I was the first person to write to them from the United States. So yeah, pen pals, like all the major ones. And then we were already tape trading the basic stuff like the Metallica Kill 'Em All demo.
Yep.
So I was around for all of that.
Yeah.
Really cool pen pals though. People from all over the world. Canada, a lot of the Canadian bands like Slaughter and Sacrifice, who I still talk to this day, and even Nasty Savage. I've been friends with Nasty Savage since like 1984.
Oh, sure. I come from that school. I'm up here in Rochester, New York, and we talked about this. The Lakeshore Record Exchange, they were big on the tape trading. They had their fanzines, and I remember Ron Stein, that was the proprietor there. He would bring in all that stuff, and it's like, we were 13, 14 years old. And seeing Exciter, I remember Anvil, Metal on Metal. Of course, the Metallica guys coming to Rochester to do the album. We got our roots, but I remember looking in the back of like Circus and Hit Parader, and I never pen paled, but I would buy shirts, and you would see that. So that's the roots. That's awesome. And you know what? And we're going to touch on this a little later about your passion. You could see in the background your record collection and your just what you get into. Well, let's get into that. Tell us about that. You outside of fronting Hirax and being a performer, you're an avid vinyl collector, but also a DJ. What is all this about?
Well, as a kid, I didn't even realize when I was younger that I was already doing that stuff. DJing was already, I think you were doing it. A lot of people don't realize they were doing it. Like if you had friends over your house and you were playing them records, you were actually DJing. Then it got to a bigger thing later on for me. I started working in nightclubs and doing all kinds of, radio shows. And, I just started doing more events, but it started out at a very young age. I always loved records from the moment I got into them. My dad was a record collector. So I kind of got that habit from him. And then my brother also collected records. My brother was like the guy that got me into the heavier stuff. And so I think that happens with a lot of people. It's like generational.
Yep.
A lot of it's passed down, or you have a friend who's got a cool brother who's got a turntable, and you learn from that. But my passion stayed intact just because I really love music. And it's not just for me, I'm a musician, but I'm also a fan. And I think that's a good thing to always remember, especially if you are a musician. Don't forget about the fans. And, I started going to concerts at a very early age. I saw Sabbath when I was 15.
What tour?
So, I saw him on the Never Say Die tour, the last tour before they broke up. And Van Halen was the support act, the first Van Halen album had just come out. So I got a good dose of rock and roll.
Where'd you see that show? California?
I saw, I did. I'll never forget it, because especially when you're young, those things make a big impression on you. 1978, Anaheim Stadium, where the California Angels, now they're called the Los Angeles Angels, which is still weird for me. Weird for me to say that because I'm a Southern California kid. But saw him at Anaheim Stadium where the Angels play. The headliner was Boston.
Yep.
Then it was Black Sabbath. Then it was Van Halen. First album just came out. And then the opening act, which is funny because he ended up being in the band later on, was Sammy Hagar.
Yeah.
He opened the show. So yeah, that was my first big show.
That's awesome. That's my favorite band of all time. And you've probably seen online in the last 2 or 3 weeks all this Van Halen stuff that's dropped.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And they're dropping a lot of the footage from when I saw them. So for me, it's even more like where I'm like, awesome. If you see footage from 78, but there's even some really great stuff from 1980. They were really on fire. And I mean, don't get me wrong, they were great up until probably, I'm kind of like, it's like Bon Scott with David Lee Roth.
Yeah.
The David Lee Roth years were fantastic. So, but I would say for me, I saw him in 78 and, it was groundbreaking for me to see a band like that,
Oh, sure.
And they're amazing. But that stuff that's dropping now, it's almost like, I don't know if Alex is okaying it or maybe he's dropping it for a reason, because I think there should be some kind of a live album from those early years. That would be amazing.
Well, it's gone already. It's off. Warner Brothers got involved. It's gone. It's not on.
Wow.
It's not on YouTube anymore.
So they're pulling it.
Yeah. It was. Noel Monk had tons of this stuff, and there's a lot of in this footage we're talking about, listeners. It was like they had the entire B-roll stock footage of when they were shooting the Panama video. So it was 2 hours of B-roll, and you could see a lot of it. There's I don't know what those movie things, those clapboards are called, but it has all has all the information on it. You see the production company. They did the same thing for the Jump video. But a lot of this handheld 8mm from like the 78 Japan tour. And it's just, this is priceless. We'll talk after the interview. I'll let you know what I can do for you on that. But my brother got me into all of it. He's 4 years older. I remember first time I had a chance to see him was Fair Warning, 81.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
My pop.
That'd be a good.
Oh, the pinnacle, I think. But my pops, God rest his soul, he said you can't go to shows until you're 13. So
yeah.
So
I get it. That was a rule back in the day. I just got lucky. I was 15, and but I understand where the parents are coming from, because that was the wildest shit I had seen in my life at that time. I was at a concert with a bunch of partiers, and Black Sabbath fans, and back in the day, Black Sabbath fans were pretty intimidating. So yeah, it was, I got lucky, and that kind of inspired me more. Like the seeing Van Halen with Sabbath was the gateway, and I never looked back. I just got more and more into music.
Do you subscribe to the fact that Halen blew him off the stage?
Yeah, but Sabbath still were damn good, even though they were, high as a kite on drugs and pretty much kind of falling apart. But, even at they're not their best, they were still a damn good band.
Yeah.
Like, I get it, Van Halen were the new thing. They were young. It was kind of like, before Metallica, that's what Van Halen were. Like, they were a powerhouse band. I mean, they had everything in that arsenal that you need.
Yep.
Michael Anthony on bass, which is funny because when you start running down the band members of that band, but Michael Anthony is like the hidden weapon.
Yep.
And then you got Roth in his prime. People can say whatever they want about David Lee Roth, but in his prime, he was one of the most badass performers and vocalists. People try to downplay his vocals, but dude, nobody screams like Roth. Nobody.
No.
And then you got Alex. He's basically his brother's rhythm. Like Alex is incredible too. I don't think Alex gets enough credit because Eddie was such a phenomenal talent.
Yeah.
But Alex was an amazing drummer. So that band, they're like a lot of the bands that we love now, they're before them, And so opening for Sabbath when Sabbath had already been going for many years. I mean, you got to remember they're probably pretty burnt by that time. I mean, all that partying and all that touring, but Sabbath were still very good. I mean, I get it though. Van Halen were on fire, literally. I mean, they have the song On Fire, but they were on fire.
Well, they opened with On Fire. So,
yeah.
But
Yeah.
Katon, if you really think about it, as we get older and these years disappear like weeks, when was the first Sabbath? 1970?
Yeah.
And by this time, that's only 8 years. And all that classic Sabbath came out in 8 years. That's nothing. Now 8 years, Metallica release an album every 8 years. But, go ahead.
A lot of those bands are, that's the sad thing. A lot of those bands were way ahead of their time. They were releasing 2 albums a year, some of those bands, even AC/DC, the Bon Scott years. A lot of those, I think they did a couple of records, like 2, where they did 2 drops in 1 year. And
Kiss.
2 or 3 years they did that. And so you got bands like that were phenomenal in their release of records. So I don't even know if that'll ever be done again. That bands are really, even Zeppelin released a couple albums at a time, so.
Well, you also had the limitations. How much could you put on an album, and that whole debate, all killer, no filler, because if you got 40 minutes on a platter, you're not going to have. So that's what makes it the golden age, man. The 70s and the 80s. We're here, to talk about Faster Than Death. So the band's first album in 10 years, something like that?
At least 10 or 11 years, which there's a lot behind that, which people do need to know because it's pretty interesting what happened in that time frame. But yes, the first record in like 11 years, due to a lot of circumstances. Like we are an underground band and we're pretty damn proud of that. But, touring takes a lot. A lot of people don't realize we toured a lot during even that 10-year break of the albums. Where we're able to go to places that a lot of bands don't go. We go to South America and we spend quite a bit of time there. And those records get around. Like even for me, it's still amazing when we release these records, how they end up going to places like Russia and, the Czech Republic and all over the world, Japan, Southeast Asia. So your music gets out to these places that I never even thought I'd see. And so to be able to travel doing that, it takes time. But also with me is, I like you said, you even brought it up, less, you want no filler. A lot of the records, if you don't put time into them, that's why a lot of bands end up releasing some bad records, because usually they're trying to rush the records. And I think that's probably the worst move you can make. I mean, I get that people want more output, they want more music, but if you're just putting out shitty music, that the fans don't want that, and they don't deserve that. They really deserve, good stuff, good packaging, not just the music itself, but the packaging for the record. All that should come together. So this record now is the perfect timing. And also it was written during the early days of the pandemic when we were all going through a lot of different shit and a lot of different changes in the world. So yeah, I couldn't be happier. Like it's funny. It did take a while, but this record was, it's been worth the wait because it's a powerful record. It's a sledgehammer,
Well, it's not that long, about 22 minutes, but over the course of the last couple of years, you released the EP with like 4 songs, released a single, then you came back with the full length. What was the thinking behind that?
Pretty awesome. All right, so we get this tour of Europe, and it's like a 3-week tour, but the record's not ready yet. So we decide we should drop a European EP. It's kind of a tribute to the old days, like the 80s. A lot of bands would put out EPs. I mean, you name it, everybody did it. Even Motley Crue had this single called Toast to the Town. Rat had their first 4, it was like a 4-song EP. Armored Saint, even if you look back at them, they had EPs. So we figured for this tour, we need to get some kind of product out that the kids can get. And it's really rare because the difference between the album and the EP is that those tracks were mixed and produced by Bill Matoyer, the EP. The full-length album is actually Max Norman, who came in at a great time. It's kind of an interesting story because Max Norman's been notorious for saving albums, and he saved ours. We were having problems getting it done, and I was like, who's out there? And Max Norman's somebody that I've looked up to for years because he did a lot of the records that I love. He did the first 2 Ozzy Osbourne records. And a lot of people don't know this. He saved those records too. He was brought in to finish those records because there were problems with those. So basically the same thing happened with our record, but the timing was good for to release it as a 4-song EP first. And then now with this new year and a whole new scheme of touring, we're going to be touring a lot. So to have this record done in time for that is perfect. But the other thing was too, we didn't want to have any filler tracks on it. So that's another reason it's shorter, but also the songs are hard hitting and it's straight in your face, which Hirax is pretty known for. I wanted to make sure the fans got something that they would expect us to do,
Yeah, you're in, you're out, and you're making your statement. And a lot of what's going on in 2024, 2025, it's bands are releasing 1 or 2 singles rather than a full length to take a couple more bites off the apple, if you will. It's keep your name out there. Well, it's
and I think that fans are also a little bit more short attention span. If you give them a real long record, it's like, for one, it better be incredible, and that's not that easy to do. Like writing a 56-minute record, there's going to be some filler tracks unless you're just prolific, and there's not really, it takes time. Even if you're going to be prolific, you're going to have to look at each song. And so I think the reason people are doing almost like a half an album, or maybe a little bit more than half an album, is just that they can get more quality control and make the songs better. And I think that's really mandatory, especially in this day and age of computers and the internet.
And it's, it's old when it's released. And
you can flip real quick. Like if you're on your computer, you can listen to fucking 30 bands in seconds. You can just click over. And so you got to make really good songs, and they got to make a statement. Like you said, they got to come at you real quick, especially in metal. And metal fans are also very they only have so much time, and their attention span's pretty short too. So it better be good.
Well, yeah. And let's admit it, what we do here, our mission statement is we're a bridge, old school to new school, teach the old school guys about new bands, vice versa. Young bands, young audiences, how it used to be. It's, today we're talking to you. Yesterday was Chris Slade, AC/DC fame. A couple weeks ago, it was Bastard Skull. Old guys.
That's on
old guys with a new band. It's, so, all right. So the album kicks off with Drill Into the Brain. What made this the perfect opener? Is it obvious?
Yeah, it just comes right at you. There's a drill bit going on in the beginning of this record, and it was just one of those songs, like when we were listening back to the tracks, we're like, that's gotta be the opener. It's a great song for an opener. And then also, personally, on a personal note, that song was inspired by One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. A lot of people don't know that, but I'm a big Jack Nicholson fan.
Okay.
And so it was inspired by that movie, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. So it's got a nice story behind it.
How'd you do the drill? Little homage to Eddie Van Halen and Pound Cake is.
Yeah, that for sure. And also, lobotomies, that was like one of the oldest, cruelest treatments for insanity. And so the drill is kind of a tribute to lobotomy.
Okay.
I guess it sounds pretty heavy, but more people that if they learn about it, they'll be like, wow, we didn't know that they used to drill into people's brains, So
the title track, Faster Than Death. What does this mean to you?
Well, especially during the pandemic, we saw so much crazy stuff. We're like, you better live now.
Yeah.
I think it's really, and it's also as you get older, and I think even for younger people, they need to realize, embrace every moment of life. And that's pretty much what Faster Than Death's about. Like while you're here, love all your friends, love everything you do, whatever you're into. I don't care if it's, collecting stamps, but be into it, be in the moment. And a lot of people don't do that. They think they're going to live forever. And you got to be faster than death.
Yeah, great, man. That's a great motto. And I've lost a couple friends in the last couple weeks. We're at this age where, oh man, that guy passed. He's sick. It's like, what the hell?
And I think also when you're older, it hits you more. When you're younger, you don't really understand yet. So, and you do lose people when you're young, but it doesn't hit you the same. Once you get older and you've lived and you've, gone some places in life and met some really good people. Like also people got to remember when you're older, that means your friends you've had for a decade or two. So those people mean a lot more to you. And in the metal community, especially, we've all lost some people. So you just start appreciating each other more. Like I appreciate you because I've known you for years now.
Mm-hmm.
Like the more you get to know people, they mean more to you. So you got to live, and especially if you're into music, because to me, music's a celebration of life.
Sure.
It really is.
It's
like we're lucky that we even get to listen to music. That I get up in the morning, I can put on some music in my headphones and work out or whatever. I am grateful for that. So yeah, you got to live faster than death. And because we're all heading for that, whether we want to admit it or not, we got to enjoy life.
Yeah, you're right. You talked about lobotomies and old school, the track, psychiatric ward has an old school vibe crossover to it. Is that on point? Am I safe to assume that?
I mean, no, you're totally on point. Like, the great thing about this record too, that I'm really proud about is like, we've had amazing reviews but at the same point, like no matter what, and this is something that younger musicians need to know, there's going to also be some bad reviews. Like no matter who you are, no matter how great you are. For me, it's easy because I grew up on bands like Sabbath. Sabbath was they had some of the worst reviews in the history of rock when they came out.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, normally it's people that don't understand what you're doing. Like for us, it's great. The people that get it are just blown away. But like if you're into like newer metal, or you want I'm talking NU metal, you might not understand where Hirax is coming from. But our whole point of what we do is we are an old school band. We're very proud of that.
Yeah.
And I think that the people that buy our records know that.
Did you subscribe to some of that metal 15, 20, 25 years ago? Did you find something in that scene that you could grasp? Because I really didn't. Maybe it was the time. Maybe it was the time of my life. I was raising young kids, and nothing got me.
No, I think it's we're old school, and we're pretty damn proud of that. Not that music. I wouldn't say the music sucked. It just didn't hit us the way that like growing up on Motorhead and AC/DC and even the thrash metal bands that there's a lot of great thrash metal bands, and they're from all over the world.
Yes.
So we had a plethora. We had like a plate that was unending, full of, if you were going to an all-you-could-eat buffet, we had bands from Japan, we had bands from Texas, we had bands from, every corner of the world, and it was stellar. like even if you look at the early demos, Overkill, amazing. You know, there are bands like Hollow's Eve,
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
There's a band called Wargasm from Boston, from Boston. They're amazing. So we had a lot of great stuff. But the newer stuff, I think the problem I have with it is I've always liked real guitars and I like great guitar tones and I like real drums. And not that all of them are using fake shit, but some of it's overproduced.
Yeah.
But there were some great bands. I think if you look through there are going to be some bands that were great. We were on tour in Argentina and we had a night off, so we went and saw this band called Children of Bodom and or Bodom.
Children of Bodom.
Children of Yeah, and they were pretty damn good. So I'm saying that, in each whatever, decade, there's going to be some bands that are better than others,
Let's admit it. When you're younger, you have time to invest in the music and it hits you at a time of your life where you remember it. And Katon, these bands, our bands are old friends. That's what these bands are. They're old friends. And when, you listen to them, it's like, you know what? I'll get on my soapbox a little bit. When people say, oh yeah, I used to like them.
Yeah.
Well, you don't like them anymore?
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's like, oh yeah, I used to like Iron Maiden. Oh, you don't like Number of the Beast anymore? Well,
it's because I think it's because we're lifers, like that's the other thing with metal. We're pretty loyal.
Yeah.
That especially once you get to go outside of the US. Like I love the US and there's a lot of amazing fans all through the US. But when you go to Europe, you start realizing it's like religion, Same with South America. They love their metal so much and they don't forget. Like a band like Hirax that's been around for 40 years goes to South America, they act like we're brand new, So I think, it just depends on where you're from and what decade you were born in. But I mean, we're open-minded. If it's a good band, I'll check them out. I have no problem with that. But I still feast on a lot of old school shit. Like when you bring up Iron Maiden, everything from Number Beast to the first album, to me is a masterpiece and it's a blueprint for heavy metal.
Oh, it's Maiden.
It's like bringing up UFO. I mean, you can't get enough of that band.
No, it's awesome. On this one, you did a remake of Warlord's Command. What's the thinking behind that? It's a 22-minute platter, and you're doing a redo of an old song. Why?
Well, I knew that 40 years was coming up for Raging Violence, our first album, and I kind of wanted to make people to look back at that too. Like you should always remember what's got you to where you're at. Like it's great that we've been around for 40 years, but I'm still very proud of the first 2 albums, I mean, I'm proud of everything we've done, but those records set the table. Like, like we brought up Maiden or even Sabbath, those first couple albums set the table and then you go from there. So Warlord's Command is a tribute to the first album. Just want people to remember that we haven't forgotten where we came from. I think when they listen to this new Faster Than Death record anyways, it becomes quite apparent from the first notes what we're trying to do. And it's really great that the record's being received the way it's been received because it's only been out a week. So to see it popping up on playlists, like we don't make records for the radio, we make records for us, but when they end up on the radio, we're pleasantly surprised. So to see that the record's getting on playlists all over the world and the reviews have been really, really good. And so, yeah, man, it's a new era for us, but we also did Warlord's Command to also hark back to the old days as well.
Mm-hmm. Now, there was a break between recorded material, but the band was on hiatus for many reasons. What was it that brought you back to where you're like, you know what? I'm going to get a new band together and do this again. What brought you back?
Well, I wasn't even planning on doing it. Years ago, it's kind of interesting. My wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, she's like, she found a bunch of letters. Like I still had fan mail, which that nowadays everybody talks about emails, but I had boxes of fan mail for Hirax, and my wife was going through my closet and found them. And she's like, why aren't you doing this? And I said, that's a long time ago, but she's like, no, you should probably do it again. There's people, she read the letters and a lot of the letters, they're heartfelt. Like music helps people get through a lot in life. That's probably one of the main reasons I came back, is it's really awesome when you have kids come up to you and tell you what your records have done for them, like getting through hard times. because I've got records like that for me. You know, like if I listen to the first, if I listen to, say, Ace of Spades, to this day, I can remember riding in a car or being in a parking lot at a gig, playing that record in the parking lot, drinking a beer.
Yep.
So, like for me, Hirax has become more than just music. It's part of people's lives. So I've had plenty of people tell me that over the years. I started the band again, and it became even more where we would be on the road and kids would just tell me these just amazing stories. Well, I'll tell you one real quick. This is how heavy it gets. Is we were in Spain and we were playing, and before the show, some kids came up, and one of them had, well, most of them always have denim jackets on and vests and patches. But this kid said, I'm wearing this denim vest because my brother, it was his. And the last time he had this on, he got in an accident leaving one of your concerts and he died.
Oh, wow.
That was heavy.
Yeah.
Like I'm standing there and he's wearing his brother's vest as a tribute. He said, I'm here because my brother would have been here if he was still alive, because he always would come see Hirax when you guys would come through Spain. So I was like, that just hit me so hard, like, that people care that much to even carry on a tradition, a family tradition, to come see us. So that's always what's made me keep doing this. The fans, I can't say that enough. And that they keep buying the records and coming to the concerts, that keeps me going.
Sure.
And it's not easy. I'm 61 years old, but I do it because I love it.
Let's admit it here. No one's getting rich doing this. But but you're getting rich in these interactions, and it's just like, at the end of the day, I own a business that for 30 years that pays my bills. But what we do here at Metal Mayhem ROC, this is my passion, and it's conversations like this. This is our payment. Maybe you get some free music, some tickets. So what other aspects out of Hirax 2.0 are you getting out of this that's rewarding?
Well, for one, taking musicians that, have never seen the world, it's huge to me. Like, I've been traveling with this band for the last 26 years, easy, before that, but in the last 26 years, massively more than I have ever. And so when you also take musicians that have never traveled to, say, South America or to Europe, crossing the channel into England, just those experiences right there are payment.
Yeah.
I never thought I would see some of the stuff that I've seen. I've been to the catacombs under churches in Lima, Peru, So these are huge payments. And obviously nobody's getting rich doing underground thrash metal, but you have to have the passion and the love for it. And, there's a lot of things. It's mainly I get to see the world. I get to meet the most awesome fans. Like, the fans are unbelievable. I mean, their stories of traveling 8 hours just to come see us play. Some of the stuff they do is, I'm like, I can't believe you got on a bus and then you got on a train and you traveled 8 to 10 hours to come see us play. So, those are the things that unless you don't have a heart, which I have a big ass heart.
Yeah.
You can't help but keep doing this, and I love the fans, and the music is still my passion too, because it's what I grew up on. So it's like food to me. Playing music is like food.
Sure.
It really is.
Now, you mentioned over in Europe, a lot of these festivals, like the Waken Festival, Sweden Rock, Hellfest, which is absolutely amazing. Are you ever amazed when you do some of these shows and some of your contemporaries, you run into them, or maybe you're eating with them and catering or something, where maybe they come up, hey, Katon, how are you, man? Great, and you're like, fuck, I didn't even think this guy remembered me or had that. Yeah. Share some of those. Who's someone that came up to you and you're like, right on, that you would say to your wife afterwards, honey, check this shit out, blah, blah, blah.
I'm pleasantly surprised, and it's really cool because unless you're like a dick, how can you not be blown away by some of your contemporaries or even people that you totally respect what they do musically? And it happens quite a bit. The festivals are awesome because a lot of times we're playing with bands that are even way bigger.
Yeah.
I almost ran into Gene Simmons. We were playing in, I think it was Belgium. we were in Belgium, and Gene Simmons has his band now because Kiss retired. But to see him in the same dining hall, this is one of the guys that made me want to play music. So these experiences are insane. A lot of times you're just like, this is insanity, because you can't believe you're looking around the room and there's like UFO over there and there's like Kiss over there, guys like Gene Simmons, other bands that you love. You're like, it's always a family get together when we see bands like Exodus. We've known those guys for 40 years. Death, all those bands. So a lot of the Bay Area bands, when we see them, it's almost like a reunion.
Yeah. It's like a high school reunion.
Yeah. And so, you end up seeing a lot of bands and musicians that you respect, but sometimes it's more, I'm surprised by some of the bands that like us that they're not even from the same genre of music. There's a guy named Danko Jones, really cool guy.
Canadian.
He's come to see us and say hello. And to me, that's just so awesome that he's such a good person like that. And he likes different styles of music. There's a band called Rancid. Their guitar player, Lars, he's a fan and he's a really awesome guy. And I respect his music too. So it's just really cool when you have other musicians that enjoy your music and you enjoy theirs as well. So yeah, I'm more blown away by bands that aren't in the same genre.
Yeah.
It's one thing to see guys that are metal bands that that's awesome. But when it's somebody that's from a different genre, that's really mind-blowing to me.
Did you talk to Gene?
No, it was funny. Well, he's a character. Obviously, if you've seen Gene Simmons, he's a total character. And I'll be real with you, he really is a rock star. Like, you'll see rock star musicians, but nah, this dude is serious. Like, when I ran into him, he was coming out of the door and he was also twirling a girl, like dancing with a girl on the way to, he was, I guess, leaving to go to his tour bus, but he was saying goodbye to everybody.
Yeah.
I just came in. It was a weird timing issue where I was just coming into the dining hall and he was leaving and we just right at the door at the same time. But that was good enough for me. I'm like, that's fucking Gene Simmons,
We saw that tour last summer. They play. Right. He has his Money Bags company and they do soda pop. And the bottlers are up here in Niagara Falls, about an hour away from me. So they had a show at this old theater, and it was a benefit show to renovate the theater. And we went and saw the show. And Katon, this was awesome because what it was wasn't like all deep cuts from like Revenge or anything like that. It was crowd participation. So like they opened with Deuce and then they went into like War Machine or something, but then they stopped and he started talking to the crowd and he got kids up on stage and he's like, all right, house lights, let's get you and you and you. And he would get all these kids on stage and then he'd get their parents and he was teaching them. Ended up 15 minutes later, they're singing background to I Love It Loud. And that's awesome. And it was sort of like that interaction, but yeah. Gene's a cold. I met him at a grocery store here. He was doing an in-store for the soda pop. So it was,
wow, that's crazy.
It was cool. And I'm friends with the guys that do the soda pop with him. So
he's definitely a character. There's no doubt about that.
So you mentioned Exodus. You're playing dates with them, 40 years for Bonded by Blood.
Yeah, that's an interesting show. What's great is, like, I've known Gary for, the first time we played in San Francisco, we played in Berkeley at this place called Ruthie's Inn. And seriously, talk about having, like, where you had to play your A game, because in front row at that show, first time we ever played it there was Gary Holt, Cliff Burton, and James Hetfield watching us play. So I go way back with Gary Holt, and then fast forward 40 years later, I get this message. He's like, hey, we're playing in LA, basically Anaheim, which is right where Disneyland is. There's a place called the House of Blues. He's like, listen, we're doing this 40th anniversary for the Bonded by Blood record. Do you guys want to play? And I'm like, yeah, man. For one, you called.
Yeah.
Like, Gary, he's one of the few people that can actually call me, and I'm like, right away, what do you need to do? He's just a great guy. I've known him for years.
Sure.
And so we're going to do this show. It's going to be great for everybody to see something like they're going to do the whole Bonded by Blood record in its entirety. We're gonna do some of the new stuff and a lot of the old stuff. So it's already sold out, which is great. They're doing 2 shows out here, one up in Berkeley and one in Anaheim, and they're both sold out. So to be a part of it's great, and it also shows that whole camaraderie that we have with our music scenes out here. The California bands, try to stick together, and it's going to be a great night.
I don't recall, but were you part of that Adam Dubin Murder in the Front Row documentary from a few years ago?
I have, I don't think have I seen it? I mean, there's so many documentaries. Like, if somebody would have told me there'd be this many documentaries on thrash metal, I would have told them, get out of here. But
you got it. It's Adam Dubin, filmmaker. Adam works with the Metallica guys. The name of his company is Murder in the Front Row Productions. Well, he did the documentary on Everyone's in it. Well, obviously, not everyone, because, but it's the total scene, Ruthie's in, the Warfield, all those other places, all those guys, all those people, you got to watch it. You got to watch it tonight.
I might have seen it. It's just been a while if I have, but what's cool is we're intertwined. Like, even though we're from LA, Hirax is, it's kind of almost like our second home, the Bay Area. So we're intertwined in that scene, and so many great friends up there. I mean, it's ridiculous how many great bands have come out of there. But Adam, what's funny, it's interesting you would bring that up. A lot of people don't know this. He's been working on a Metallica documentary for at least the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And recently he was out here, and he had me come out to Culver City, and there's a film studio that he brought me into, and I spoke, because there's a section in the movie that I did for the new Metallica documentary.
He did it with me too. He came to
he knows his stuff.
He came to Rochester. We had Kirk on the show October of 23 to I'll send you the link to this. We had on the second chair engineer and the 5th member of Metallica from Rochester that befriended them on the show. Rob Thomas and Andrew Robleski, and both of these guys had a stack of pictures like this from the recording of Kill 'Em All that eventually made it to Dan Braun and the Metallica people. We got in touch with Mark Ryder. I sent an email, granted us the interview, but then because we had so much Kill 'Em All info and all that, because we were around during that he got us in touch with Adam and Jack Gulick, and Adam came to Rochester, and we taped for 2 days. Same thing.
Yeah, Adam's a great guy. Great guy. And when that documentary comes out, it's going to blow people away. I mean, they think they know about Metallica, but this has got some stuff in it that's never, I'd say a lot of stuff that's never even been unearthed before. So, Metallica hired, and they're smart for doing it. He knows what he's doing. For me, it's kind of interesting, because I never thought 40 years later I'd still be talking about all those early days. But it goes to show you the music, just like for you, the music has stood the test of time. I mean, Metallica spearheaded it, but it's great, such a great movement that people are gonna be talking about thrash metal forever.
Oh, it's in our blood, man. It's not it's our DNA. It's what we do. So now talk about touring. Where are you playing? Are you playing the States? Are you coming to the East Coast? I know it's tough in America. Any chance?
Yeah, but you know what's funny? You still got to do it. Like, I mean, that's what's great for me. I wouldn't still be doing this if I didn't know that we still got to do some of the tough work, and that's part of it. Like, part of being in a band is you got to not always do the pretty things, and you got to play some of the places that maybe there's 200, 300 people, which is still a good amount of people. I don't care what anybody tells you. If there's 200 to 300 kids there, you should go ape shit just like they're going to go ape shit.
Yeah.
But we're going to do States. Obviously there's certain areas that we, have to go to. We're starting out in Texas. Next week we'll be at this thing called Hell's Heroes, which is a great festival. Throughout the year we'll be doing more stuff. We're doing also Maryland Death Fest, which is a really good one this year. We're going to be going up to Seattle. I mean, the tour dates are up on all the social networking websites, so people can check there, all the Hirax Facebooks and Instagrams and even TikTok and all that other crap. So we're out there. But we're going to be doing some States, and then we'll go back to Europe. We'll go back to South America, and then we're going to definitely eventually get over to Japan. The record just came out in Japan. We're pretty fortunate that we get to go to these different countries, even Mexico. We've been going to Mexico for a lot of years, and we have a great fan base there. But the States, it matters a lot too, the U.S., whether it's California, because there's, Northern California, Southern California. So we'll be touring all over the states as well. Get back to the East Coast too, New York and Rochester, which the last time we were there, we froze our asses off. A lot of people, if they've never been to Rochester, they got to realize during the winter, holy smokes.
It's fucking fine. It's fine.
If you're from Southern California, if you're from where I'm from sun, all right, whether it's nice and sunny and warm, you get out to Rochester, you're like, dude, it's balls cold. You're just used to it.
It's not Antarctica. It's in the 30s. It's fucking fine.
Awesome. No, it's funny. I loved Rochester. I just, like I said, I'm a California boy, so it was a little chilly for me.
Well,
it's great up there.
Well, yeah, and also the logistics of touring. You got to do routing. You're not going to come here for one show, but if you got a Cleveland, you got a Pittsburgh date, maybe we'll do something. So.
Yeah.
All right. Again, the album Faster Than Death on bigcartel.com. Get up there. Is that the best place to get it? Big Cartel?
Yeah, for right now, yeah. I'd say, the thing that's cool about Big Cartel, it's easy to find. So if you go to, it's Hirax or Big Cartel Hirax, just punch it into your search engine. It'll come up. I don't even know if anybody uses search engine, that word anymore. That's how old school I am.
No.
But just punch it into like Google. Big Cartel Hirax, and you can buy the record there. We just started shipping them out this last week, and we're doing more today. Actually, once I get done with this interview, it's back to packaging up more records, which is great because we're still involved in all that. Like, we make sure the quality's there. When people get this new record, they'll notice the quality's amazing. Every format, CD, cassette, and vinyl, we did it right.
Yeah, and let's do it right by buying from the band. Sure, go check it out and stream it and listen to it, but go buy it. Buy directly from these guys.
It definitely keeps the bands going.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people don't realize that, every penny helps the bands, whether it's touring or buying more equipment or, going back into the recording studio to do a new record. So it's really appreciated, and it's great that the fan base is still there. A lot of people, like even the orders that are coming in the last few days, it's just people buying directly from the band, wanting their music shipped directly to their house,
And I noticed at this bigcartel.com, besides the release, there's merch there. Get a Hirax shirt. There's special edition 40 anniversary stuff. There's tons of stuff there. All right. Yeah. Well, you know what? It's time for you to get back to work and, prep some of that package. For my guest, Katon, I'm the Vernomatic, and this is Metal Mayhem ROC.
Stay heavy, everybody. Metal till death.
Metal Mayhem ROC.
Well, today we're making it a little heavy. We're amping it up just a bit. We're excited to have the guys from Misfire. New album's dropping May 2nd. Product of the Environment. It's their second full length. And it doesn't stop there. They secured a support slot on the EXODUS tour with HAVOK. Guys, welcome to Metal Mayhem ROC. How you doing?
Great, man. Happy to be here. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much, man.
You're welcome. Well, congratulations. A lot of stuff going on in the Misfire camp. A lot of exciting stuff. Right off the bat, let's James, Nicodemus. I grew up with a family, and their last name was Nicodemus. Every one of those kids have the nickname of Nico. Did you have that growing up? Was that your appointed nickname?
No, I get Nick sometimes, Jimmy, which I don't like. But it eventually just turned into Jim, and then James, and so I got a few different names. Yeah, it's one of those things. Nicodemus, though, you pronounced it properly. That's not something that a lot of people get correct. But yeah, Nicodemus is right. There's a couple guys. I never got Nico, but Nick was a thing.
Yeah, these are like four brothers, the Nicodemus brothers, and they played sports, and they were great dudes. But it was like Nico the sicko. The dude was a linebacker. So when I saw the press release, I'm like, Nicodemus, nice. So
I like that. Maybe I'll use that.
Yeah,
you're definitely going by that from now on, man. Thank you for this, by the way.
You're welcome. So Chicago, I love Chicago. Reggie's, my boys Troubles from there, Witch Slayer. Legions of Doom. Are you guys all from Chicago?
We're all from the Chicagoland area, with the exception of Costa. Costa, you tell them where you're from, man.
I'm from Macedonia, Eastern Europe, but I live in Chicago.
Well, welcome to the stage.
Thanks.
We're glad to have you. That's awesome. You guys have a fun, I don't know if it's a fun story. You do have a story. 2021, what was the album? The Sympathy for the Ignorant. Basically, what I got out of it was like enhanced demos. But that band, sort of like those guys dissolved, and now you have you guys. How did you get to 2025 in this version of Misfire?
Well, there was, the previous members, for lack of a better term, bit off more than they can chew, and their lives just kind of got in the way of what we were doing. So we had to replace our guitar player vocalist to do the Warbringer tour in 22. And we, got Tim and Costa in the band. So they'd been in the band for 3 years. And after that tour, our bass player left. So we had to find another bass player. And it was just one of those things that, like, when you get to this level where you're doing things like this, interviewing all the time, and it becomes a professional band, some people realize that it's not exactly what they thought they were going to be a part of, So we have the right people now. It took a few years to get it right, but this album is a testament to what we went through to get there and what we're going to be moving forward. And I think this is the way, and this is the way of the future for this band. I don't plan on making any more lineup changes. I want this to be the band moving forward. These are some of my best friends, and we're all like-minded. We're all on the same page. We all have the similar influences, and we all bring something to the table individually that is really important to this project. And I love the guys too. So no more drama,
Drama, you guys, outside of like sharing tour buses, you have to write together. It's not the hour on stage. It's the 23 hours and the day in and day out. You have to get along. Would you consider this a reboot? Like the band's really starting now? Because I'm not familiar with the first release. I'll have to go back and check it out. But how does the music differ between the two?
It's similar, it's similar writing styles, but I think, especially having Costa in the band has been, he's been really helpful, just trimming the fat and making the songs get right to the point. Like, okay, we're playing this part four times or 8 times. Okay, well, this is too long. It's ruining the vibe. Okay, well, now I have someone that's contributing to those ideas. And Dan and Tim with the lyrics and the vocal stuff. So it's like, I don't know. It just feels like we're in a band again. It's a really a good position to be in, and I'm honestly super grateful that we got to this point. So.
Oh, sure. It's rewarding to have people you could shoot ideas across and back and forth. Tim, how does your vocal approach differ from the guy that was singing before?
I think there's much more clarity in the vocals from the first record. I think you can understand the lyrics a little bit more, and the vocal range, I think, is different. I try to do some more of the dirty sounding vocals with some fucking really higher fucking screams and stuff to it, which I think there's more variety in the vocal tone for sure.
Absolutely.
And Costa, what about you? What's your influences? What kind of guitar, if you were to label your guitar sound, who would it be like? Who's your
that's
influences?
Very hard to answer, like only one guitar.
I know.
I would say, like, the solos that I did, I was more focused to make them more simple and like more memorable and easy to sing them, like Adrian Smith, and I'll say, Chuck Schuldiner from that, simple, melodic. There are still a lot of, all the guitar technicals that you can use, like tapping and all that stuff, shredding, but I wanted to make them, more simple, easy to understand. That was my approach to this album.
easily digestible, get in, get out, because it's 12 songs on the new one, but they stay in that 3 to 4.5 minute range. Correct me if I'm wrong, which is, like I said, it's easily digestible. It's, you get in and get out. Before we get into the album, because like I said, I have my notes. You guys are rooted in thrash, old school thrash. James, who would some of your heroes be? Because after listening to this, I think I could fill in the blanks here. I just want to hear you say it.
Sure. Well, Metallica.
Mhm.
I mean, there was a period in my life where that's like when I was in high school, that's all I listened to. Like the first 4 or 5 albums, that's it. Like for a whole year. And then I got into Megadeth, and I think you can hear, you can hear a little bit of that. There's, of course, Pantera, Prong influence. There's, Anthrax influence. There's Death influence. There's freaking Rammstein influence. I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff. I listen to all kinds of stuff, but the obvious ones are probably the ones I just mentioned. Yeah. Exodus, of course, thing,
Yep.
That's kind of AC/DC, I guess, because without AC/DC, you wouldn't have some of the Metallica and Exodus stuff. So,
Oh, sure. Malcolm, God rest his soul. He was the man. But that pretty much answers, those were the answers I had. I hear Exodus in there. I hear the Metallica. I hear, I grew up on all that. Maybe later in the show, I'll tell you about me and Metallica and Kill 'Em All. That's something I can share
I'd love
with
to
you.
hear that. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I live in Rochester, New York.
Right on.
So if you're a Metallica fan, you know what that's all about.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. Product of the environment, 12 songs, nice mixture. A couple of my notes, the 3 thrashers that I'm into. Born to Die, classic thrash vibes right from the start, groovy breakdowns. Tell us about this song. Your interpretation of the song.
Oh, that's one that was written and on a previous EP that Costa and I kind of took apart and made a whole bunch better. We took some things out. We added that middle section and the solo section, and kind of revamped the original idea of it. But we just I don't know. We wanted something different for the middle section. And one of my favorite things is when the tempo stays the same, but you go from 16th notes or 16th note straight notes to 16th note triplets. And that feel change is always just something that like Dream Theater has done, and a few progressive bands have done, like Opeth and stuff like that. That just those moments on those records are just like, oh my god, And I wanted to recreate something similar to that. So, with the help of Costa's ripping, that new middle section came about, and that's one of my favorite moments on the record. Also, yeah.
Another thrash favorite of mine, Twist of Fate. I love the gang vocals, and it just, Costa just finishes with that killer solo. How'd this song come about? What was the vision behind it?
I wanted to make super fast song, old school trash in your face, and we achieved what we wanted to achieve with that song, I guess.
Yeah.
All right.
You wanted the melody, right?
Yeah.
You wanted the ripping
aggression,
solo.
the melody, the groove, the bridge, the slow down bridge, then faster with the melody,
Yeah,
That's all
all
the things we
that
like
good
about
stuff.
thrash. Yeah.
all the good stuff, all the ingredients to make the thrash cake.
yeah.
Let's see. The single, We Went Through Hell. Is it just what you went through hell in the last 3 years? Is it pretty self-explanatory?
It's pretty much that. Yeah, this band almost broke up because of, stupid reasons, and that's our anthem about getting through, whatever you got on your plate, and saying, you know what? Write a song about it. Whatever you got to do, move on. Not gonna let it stop you,
Tim, your vocal style. Some say it's a combination of Mustaine with a little Anselmo sprinkled in. How do you find, your niche in all this? You get your voice within the melodic melodic structure of these songs.
You just named the two that are definitely two of the biggest influences for me vocally. I think my vocal style just came about from singing along to those songs in the car years ago, you know. But
that's how you became a singer.
Well,
well,
that's how I developed. I play a few different versions of music. I have a punk band at home, but Misfire is my number one thing, obviously, and I've been in metal bands a couple throughout my life and stuff. So for the metal vocal style I do, I definitely say I developed that from just singing along to Pantera, Metallica, Megadeth, even Alice in Chains and stuff. You know, I just singing along in the car. That's where I kind of just pieced my voice together.
Well, that early Alice in Chains, it was great stuff. It was, remember back in, I think, 91, they had that opening slot on the Clash of the Titans.
Yeah,
they got Slayer, Megadeth, Anthrax.
It was pretty rough from them, from what I heard, right?
Well, I saw that tour, but the first couple shows, but then they started winning people over, and when Kerry King says, "Hey, fucking give them a shot because I dig them," all the Slayer people, they fall in line. So, they're a great band. Saw them many times. Let's see. The last song, the title track, "Product of the Environment." Delivers a relentless pace, a climatic final solo, an epic ending to the album. This is showing my age. Great closer. One of those makes you want to flip the album over and start all over again.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
that one's one of my favorites. Also, it's the most challenging, I think, rhythmically. Because the entire time it's like on the offbeat, but everything else is going. Like the drums and the vocals are at this part, and then like the guitar and the bass are like here, and it's kind of just like clashing in the coolest way the whole time. And and that also features Rob Cavastani from Death Angel, which is huge. There's like that section with the 3 different solos in there with Alex and Costa and Rob. That was something that I totally didn't expect to have on the album, and now we have this epic solo section at the end of the record. Just super awesome.
Well, you tipped my hand because I was going to get to Left for Dead, and you have a cameo by Rob Dukes of Exodus. Mm-hmm. Did the song, the style, it's sort of like an Exodus song. Did you create the song and then thought Rob would be great for it? Or did you get Rob and you thought, oh, let's write an Exodus type vibe song?
No, that song was written like 3 years ago. The Rob thing actually came through Costa, so Costa can explain that one.
Well, yeah, we got the song, and we recorded everything, and we were, do we want any vocal guests? And the story is like, Exodus was my very first thrash metal concert in my life back in 2012. I saw them in Macedonia, where I came from, and we arrived there early, helped them out, and I got a chance to take a picture with him and Jack, the bass player. And moving forward, I moved here, joined Misfire. And 2 years ago, when we played the Milwaukee Metal Fest, I ran into Rob Dukes at the, backstage area. And I went to say hi to him, and we started talking, and I mentioned that show, and I showed him the picture of us. We spent like maybe more than 2 hours just talking. And we became friends, we start following each other on social media, talking from time to time. And when we were thinking about asking someone to be a guest on our song, I knew who to ask first. And I asked him, and yeah, the answer was a real quick yes. So that's how it happened.
That's awesome. And one thing, after years of following bands, meeting bands, talking to bands, I've come to realize that it's sincere, that these guys, they remember. So he really became friends with you. And, sometimes we put these guys on pedestals, but at the end of the day, it's just like, these are just normal dudes. And it's how you relate with them. So that's awesome that a chance meeting leads to a 2-hour discussion, and then he's on the band. Is that how it led to getting on this tour? How did that happen?
That was kind of, You would think so, right? But it didn't work out like that. Before we asked Rob, we actually that was before he rejoined Exodus, So we had no clue that was going on. And it just so happens that our management also manages Exodus. So it was just like, hey, we have a new album coming out. Let's give these guys a chance, kind of thing.
Okay.
Because we're on the same management company, so it was kind of easier for us to get an opportunity like this, which I'm super stoked and super grateful for. It's not something you get every day to be touring with Exodus,
No, not at all, especially with the 40th anniversary Bonded by Blood.
Oh, right.
That's awesome. And then HAVOK. HAVOK, they're a great band. Where are they from? Colorado?
Yeah, they're from Denver.
Yeah. I saw them with Megadeth maybe 4 or 5 years ago. The years zip by so quick. They're a good band.
Yeah, I actually worked for them. Was it 2 summers ago on their headlining tour? I'm a lighting guy. I do lights for bands and stuff. So, so I did a tour with them, and yeah, they're good friends now. And that's just another reason I'm looking forward to this thing. To be honest, it's just going to be a thrash-tastic tour of all time with buddies. It's going to be sick.
You better patent that, bro.
Yeah.
That could be your retirement. So, so the tour, playing B markets, it looked like, and there's nothing wrong with B markets. We're a B market. How many dates is this, and how long is your set?
It's 11. I think 11 shows. We're trying to add a few because there's kind of a long drive from North Carolina back home, and any little bit helps. So we're gonna see if we can get a couple shows on the way back. If it'll be with HAVOK, if it'll be just us, I'm not sure. But as of now, it's 11 shows. There's a couple days off. Yeah. What was the other part of the question?
How long's your set?
Oh, 30 minutes. Yeah, we get 30 minutes each night.
Do you mix up the set list, or it's straight 5-6 songs?
I think we're going to be able to fit 7 in there.
We'll take it, yeah.
Yeah. And we're mostly going to be playing new stuff since, it's the new lineup and stuff, but we're going to play either Red Flag or He Said, She Said from the first album each night.
Tim, what are you looking forward to on this tour?
Definitely seeing the new markets we've never been to, and obviously touring with some fucking legends here, man. I'm pinching myself. I'm telling someone to pinch me every fucking morning. I'm waking up. I still can't believe this is a thing. This is just a complete honor. It's for all of us. This is the moment we've been like striving for our whole music career of like 20 years. So it's I can't. There's so much that I can't even just put it into fucking words, man.
That's awesome, man. I'm so happy for you. You're so excited. Are there any warm-up dates? Are you playing other on-offs, or you're putting all your attention towards this tour?
It's just all for this tour for now. We got a couple rehearsals lined up, but not for as far as playing. It's just going to be these 11 shows or whatever it is, and then we got some stuff lined up for later in October and November. We can't mention it yet, but it's a hell of a fucking awesome tour we're piecing together. Also, that's you'll probably hear in the next couple of months. You'll find out about it.
Yeah, I think we're announcing that. We're probably going to announce that stuff after this tour. So and we will be in your area.
Oh, you coming up to Western New York?
Pretty sure. Yeah, pretty sure.
All right.
But I'm pretty sure.
What about the summer? Are you playing? You're writing?
We're
you
gonna be
just
doing
on
some
pause?
writing. We're gonna spend the summer hopefully getting a jump start on album number 3. You probably won't hear that album for at least 2 years. We're gonna really promote Product of the Environment really hard over the next year and a half, 2 years. But we got some time off. Unless something big comes up over the summer, we're probably gonna stay home and just get a jump start on writing the next record.
You mentioned earlier in the conversation Warbringer, and there's bands like Gatekeeper, Morning High, Aletheia from Cleveland, Displacer from here in Rochester. What's your take on the state of thrash metal and metal in general in 2025?
It's still alive. It's doing well. there's still young new bands coming out. We're a younger new band coming out, and we see even younger bands than us, like even high school kids, still trying to keep this thing alive. So I think thrash metal is doing just fine.
I agree with that because I'm 57. I'm an old guy, but part of the mission statement of Metal Mayhem ROC is we're a bridge for young dudes to get up to speed on how it used to be. But more importantly, older dudes get up to speed on what's going on now. You know, you get some of these old crusty guys and they're like, they don't make bands like we used to. I'm like, well, do you look? Do you, there's more than enough stuff out there. You just have to get out. Well, I don't know. I go, well, do you fucking listen to my show? You watch what we're doing? No, I don't know how to find it. It's like, you know how to click a link. So, and I love I love the thrash. I love your guys' sound. I love the, like new wave of traditional heavy metal bands that are out there, there's tons of them. Road Wolf, Lone Shark. There's just, there's just tons of them. Like Costa's style of playing, killer leads, killer drums. Like you said, Tim, you just want to hear the vocals, get in and get out. So that's my soapbox, but you guys are doing a great job. I look forward to it. It's too bad you're not coming around here with this tour. If someone were to go to a Misfire show, what do you want them to walk away? What do you want their impression of the band to be?
I'd like them to walk away going, fuck, man, we just got our ass kicked in that pit, and man, that music made us move. We wanted to move, but we also wanted to watch and listen. And so, like, we want people. We love the people that are beating the hell out of each other, and we also appreciate the people that are just using their eyes and ears and really observing the show. So we want people to walk away with the full experience.
There was a comment from someone that went to a show and they're like, "Oh my God, they're my new favorite band." That would be cool if everyone could do that. That'd be great. That's the mission.
Well, Tim, you're up front, and James, you're behind the kit, and Dan's not here to give his impression. But Costa, you guys, let me ask you this: can you tell if the crowd is into it, and when do you realize that you have them coming in, and you guys maybe look at each other and you talk afterwards? Like, describe that moment when you have that band, when you have that crowd hooked in.
Usually after the first song, when you get that pop reaction from the audience, usually, like I said, we're a band that likes to get people moving, but we also like to have people just watching and being entertained. And I'm up front, and I'm always just, being observant of that. And man, you like I said, there's the pop that clarify, like when people all explode at the end of the first song, that's usually a good indicator that you're doing well. It's also great when you see people like hardly blinking or talking, and phones are put away, and we seem to always have people's attention. So yeah, that's
being a new band. I mean, most people don't get into it too crazy, but luckily enough, by the second chorus of some of these songs, people that have never heard them before start singing the stuff. Usually by the second or third song, people are like, "Oh shit, this is legit." I'm usually completely in my head having an anxiety attack, trying to just focus on my drums, so I don't really pay attention to any of that shit. I'm just trying to lay it down. So
I pay attention, and I also love when we're doing all over the place and Born to Die. So when the sections that we're changing the tempo and the people are not expecting that, or like hearing the songs for the first time, and I'm just looking them in the eyes, and it's fuck yeah.
Yeah, there you. Who does the set list, and what kind of sequencing goes into this? Like, I'd love to be a fly on the wall when you guys are doing this. Like, no, let's open with this, and that doesn't work the second song, and we got to finish with this. How much effort do you put in to the sequencing?
We usually change it often. It depends, because we have two different tunings. So we're deciding, let's end with drop D instead of the standard. But usually for opening tracks, we have like 2 or 3 that we usually want to use. Like, probably we're gonna mostly use the opening track of the album for this tour and for the following tours. that will be most likely, but we might change something.
Yeah, things definitely change in this band, man. We'll spend 3 weeks rehearsing a set list out, and then like 10 minutes before it's showtime, like, hey, fuck that. Put these 2 songs first. Yeah.
Well, I'm not a musician, so when Costa started explaining the limitations and the hurdles of down to, different keys, that never even gets into my mind. I'm just like, oh, that would be that song is killer next. Well, you guys are young, Tim, you don't have to worry as much to like, oh, we better sing this song, do the song first, because, if I do it at the end, I mean, it may be a little more tough to sing it.
There's that to think about.
I would, as far as vocals go, I definitely like to have some input, but I love all these songs, so I just want them all to be fucking played. But some of these songs are a breeze to sing, just like as far as harshness on the vocal pipes, and some of them can take a little bit more juice. But like I said, I just want them all to be played at the end of the day. So I'm pretty content with whatever we come up with for a set list.
Same with the drumming. I mean, we all have to consider like what like we're physically doing for these songs. Plus, we don't have ballads, so you can't go all the way down to slowing things down completely. So it's pretty much just like, all right, let's do like a couple fast ones, and then like a medium one, like a couple fast ones and a medium one, and then like change tunings.
But
we don't want to change guitar on every song. So.
No. I do want to jump back to the product of the environment and make an observation. Was Borrowed Time your like beginning of Battery or the beginning of Fight Fire?
I always think of that when I hear it, and I love that. I love records that have that fucking build up intro, and I can totally see where you could get that from. Definitely.
Also, Borrowed Time is the name of the album that Metallica or Diamond had Am I Evil and the couple of Metallica songs that Metallica.
Oh,
so that album was called Borrowed Time. Also, I think we're living on borrowed time in this band. I mean, we pretty much imploded, and also that's a song that Tim brought to the table, which I think is just an absolute amazing way to open the album, with something coming from him that's just saying, all right, guys, here we go.
I think that was the last song we did on the album.
Yep, that's the last time we put together. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, the first thing when I got the press release, I watched the video, and then I was into it. So I reached out to the publicist. I'm like, sign me up. Let me talk to these guys. And then I went to the gym, and I'm on the treadmill, and I started listening to it. And I heard the Borrowed Time, and then the first song. I'm like, I see what these guys are doing here. All right, I'm feeling this vibe. This is all right. Couple fun questions. Any pre-show ritual? Any guilty pleasure song no one would expect you're listening to get in the mood?
Up, down, up. There's an Arnold Schwarzenegger song by it was Luke Milton or something, that we were jamming in the studio just to kind of get out of our heads in the studio. So I think we're gonna have that as our not as our intro music, but like before the intro comes on. That's just something that like makes us laugh.
And magic happened at the studio. I was, recording Tim and putting some video on social media, and I just put, because we were watching Terminator 2 in the background, on the TV, and I just put, Schwarzenegger on Instagram for the reel, and that music showed up, and we were laughing really hard, and we were like, okay, that's the song, that's our ritual now.
Well, outside of that,
outside of that, it's just, kind of trying to warm up a little bit. Don't go too crazy, but just try to get out of your head and, tell the guys, let's have a good show and, let's have a good time.
I know the touring schedule, you don't have that many years behind you, but what's the most metal moment you've had or experienced on stage or off stage?
I don't know, guys.
My personal favorite metal moment we had on stage was playing we were on our tour with Heathen and Warbringer, and it was the last show of that tour. It was a Saturday night, October 1st, 2022. It was at the legendary Whiskey A Go Go, which is a legendary fucking club in this in this industry, and we had that fucking room spinning, people just fucking moshing from
Yeah, it was crazy.
fucking 5 seconds into the song until five seconds after the whole show concluded. You know, they were just going the entire time. So that legendary place being sold out, that was, and just seeing that fucking reaction in that room was pretty awesome.
It's awesome. Costa, what do you recall? Anything in your short time with the guys?
I would say the same as Tim. Like that was like a dream come true to us, you know, playing the Whiskey Go Go, and every moment was special, you know. It was crazy.
It was pretty metal, breaking down in the middle of nowhere in Oregon. That was pretty metal.
Yeah, we were going down a mountain in our first automobile, our first touring van. That was like a 1995 fucking whatever, and it was not. Yeah,
High of all time.
yeah. It was like 10:30 in the morning. We were on our way to play a show in Portland, Oregon, and yeah, Costa was driving. I was riding shotgun, and the rest of the band was asleep. And the transmission gave out going down a literal fucking mountain, and
It started shifting, like it lost the third gear, I think, and it was just shifting between second and fourth.
Yeah, second. Yeah. That was pretty metal though. That's pretty cool.
Here's a fun one. Each of you, what's the first album you bought with your own money?
I think Kid Rock, American Badass, or like Smash Mouth. Like I got into music like around that time. It was totally not metal at all. But it was like I was like 11 years old, buying like the Smash Mouth record that was on that Trek movie or whatever. Yeah, not metal, and then Kid Rock. But Kid Rock, they had that song American Badass, which had the sample of Sad But True. So that was like, oh, what's that riff? I got to figure out what that is, and eventually found out it was Metallica.
Yep.
the first record I ever purchased was I had CDs. You know, my parents and my brother would hand down to me or buy for me. But the first one time I had money and I could go buy one, I was in the 5th grade. I'm a punk rock fan, and I will forever be a fan of punk. I bought that album and Out Come the Wolves by Rancid.
Okay. I keep forgetting I'm like 25 years older than you guys. What about you, Costa? What's the first thing? And it doesn't have to be metal. It's
metal. I think the first one I bought with my own money, I think it was Brave New World from Iron Maiden.
Love it. Love Brave New
World.
Way
cooler. Way cooler than my answer.
Well, I'm sorry. How do you pronounce your country? Macedonia?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's how they roll over there. They're, it's over there. So, well, you know what? I promised you at the beginning of the show, and I'll share my little story with Metallica. 1983, the spring right around now, Metallica comes up to my hometown, Rochester, New York, to record Kill 'Em All. And me and my buddies, being young metalheads, found out about this. Wow. So... yeah. So one day we're down at the local park where, hanging out what, misbehaving 14-year-olds would do, jamming fucking Maiden on the boombox. My buddy comes down. He's like, I just met this little guy from this band, they're called Metallica. He says they're going to be huge because he had the autograph. Well, my buddy's father owned a taco store right next to Music America. And that's where Metallica ended up recording the album. And through the whole history, I became friends with the people that recorded the album, drove Metallica around, and my radio career began in high school, and I had a chance to interview the band when they came to town in 1986. And though we started a relationship with the band, and about a year and a half ago, we had Kirk Hammett on the show with the second chair engineer from the Kill 'Em All session. And that guy, they drove him around for 6 weeks, and they had a huge reunion. We have tons of pictures in this video, and we were in Boston last summer, and they all got together. We're going to Syracuse in 2 weeks to see him again. So I invite you guys I'll send you the links to the Metal Mayhem ROC YouTube channel and this video with Kirk. And I'll tell you one thing. I don't know if you ever had a chance to meet Metallica. What's that?
Not yet.
No. Honestly, the biggest band in the world and have to be the most down-to-earth guys They really are. They go above and beyond. And so the name is the Making of Kill 'Em All, The Secrets to Kill 'Em All. It's filled with over 80 never seen before pictures of in the studio for Kill 'Em All, stories with photos to go along with it. So
Awesome. I will absolutely check that out. That's fantastic.
yeah,
It's one hell of a remarkable story, man. That's fucking badass. Thanks for sharing that with us.
So up here in Rochester, New York, we have a strong metal history. The House of Guitars, I don't know if you're familiar with it. You know, a huge metal history, the Penny Arcade. So thankfully, I had a chance to grow up in the golden age of metal and saw these bands that you guys are successfully carrying the torch from. So again, kudos to you guys. What's the best way to stay in touch with Misfire in this social media age? I'm going to have you share the locations.
Yeah, dude. Fucking Facebook, Instagram, you know, any of that good stuff. But to really get to know us, come out to one of them shows, man. We love to hang out, you know. We'll be at the merch table. Yeah, we'd love it if you bought something. You don't have to, but please come say hi either fucking way. And that'd be a good way to get to meet Misfire.
It's misfireofficial.com. You can kind of get to all of our other social medias from there. But Misfire Official pretty much everywhere. I think the only differential is on Twitter where it's Misfire Metal, but everywhere it's Misfire Official.
Sure, and this will be all posted in these links. Again, the album Product of the Environment comes out May 2nd. The tour with EXODUS and HAVOK starts April 27th, goes about 15, 16 dates. And contrary to what Tim just said, get your ass to the merch page, buy a shirt, buy a CD. The guys will sign it and get on board because it's happening. Guys, one last question before we get out of here. If Misfire had a motto, what would it be?
Put up or shut up.
Okay.
Stay true to yourself. Stay true to metal. Thrash metal forever.
Costa?
I'll say the same.
Okay,
I
then
agree with them, yeah.
I'm going to give you one more because we're in pre-production for a special Maiden show to when they kick off their Run for Your Life tour. What's your favorite Iron Maiden album?
Seventh Son of the Seventh Son.
Seventh Son of the Seventh Son. And why is that?
That album changed my life. That was, I think, the first thing I heard from them, and it became my favorite thing. And I remember it since I remember the earliest memory of myself. 3 or 4 years old. Yeah.
That's fucking heavy, bro. Well,
listening
that's awesome.
on vinyl.
What's that?
I was listening it on vinyl.
Ah, well, yeah. That. How are you? Why you got it on vinyl?
Yeah, I got it at home. Yeah.
Oh, well, congratulations. That's awesome. So, all right, guys. Hey, thanks for the time. Best of luck in anything we could do here. You know, reach out, stay in touch, and I look forward to this big announcement. How somehow it affects up in my area, my neck of the woods. But
yeah, that's looking like October-ish. So we should be announcing that soon. So.
All right, cool. All right, again, the band, Misfire, the album, Product of Your Environment, May 2nd, get it and jam it and always stay heavy. For the band, I'm the Vernomatic, and we will see you next time. Keep it heavy.
Metal for life.
Thank you for listening to Metal Mayhem ROC. Check out our website at metalmayhemroc.com for information on podcasts, archives, links to all our live radio shows, and all sorts of info. Please like, follow, and share with everyone, even your non-metal friends. And always remember to keep it heavy.